today we're going to be talking with Greg.
Hey!
Hey, there you are. There. Whew! Glad you're there. All right.
The suspense.
Yeah, the suspense. It's You're pretty consistently there every episode.
Yes.
Let's dive right into it. What are you going over today?
Well, today we're going to revisit the issue of mulch, why they're important, different types of mulch, and why they're so integral to permaculture design. Mm-hmm. And also we'll just do a little bit of random topics to start with, just so we don't get right into business.
Oh, I know what we'll do, if you don't mind. Don't lose your spot. I just thought of something.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this live. Well, live as we're recording it, but yeah. So we had the Mackenzie Seed giveaway contest. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah,
just a quick minute. And we appreciate everybody who took part. It was the closest thing to going viral that I think we've experienced.
And it's over. For those people that are still trying to win seeds, it's over.
That one's over.
Thank you for all the sharing, but it's over.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the sharing. Really,
it was incredible. That one post, I'm looking at it right now, as of the time of this recording, reached 30,521 people.
God.
And it was shared 413 times. And I'm not even sure how many comments we have here, but a lot. And anyway, we did pick our 5 winners from that and 1 winner that replied from the email. So we got all those out, and I got confirmation from at least one person that received their seeds. And so we appreciate that. We will be doing a few more contests throughout the season, so keep your eye out. And anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, we still got some stuff that they gave us that anyone that watched the unboxing video, there's still more stuff. I'm not hoarding it. I'm still going to give it all away.
That's right.
We just thought we'd do things along themes, I guess, so we did seeds.
Right.
Now the seeds are gone.
Yeah. So keep participating if you like, but the contest is over.
Yes.
Anyway, back to mulch. Sorry.
If you share tonight, you're not going to win.
But you'll be a winner in our eyes.
Exactly. You'll win my favor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Well, speaking of seeds, it's May 2-4 weekend, or Victoria Day weekend, or I guess Memorial Day weekend if you're an American, and I don't know what they call this in other parts of the world. Maybe just May 24th, nothing weekend. I don't know. And it's kind of odd that we, make it a big event.
Yeah, it is.
I guess we have a queen.
Yeah, we do.
So I guess we have a queen. I guess we're a colony. So greetings for the colonies. From one peasant to another.
Yes.
Thank God the Queen gave us a day off. So this is May 24th weekend. In Canada, I don't know if this is the case for every province, but certainly here in the Nova Scotia, it's everybody gets Friday off or Monday off or both.
Yeah.
Is it Monday or
it's
Friday?
It's just Monday, I think.
Why aren't my kids in school tomorrow?
I have no idea. Mine are in school tomorrow.
Is it like Good Friday, May?
No.
Good Victoria Day? I don't know.
No, man. There's no holiday.
School on Monday or Friday. They're at the the sort of place we stick them when school's closed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We pay to look after them.
Yeah, exactly. Babysitter.
So I don't know. Yeah, like expensive sort of. Professional adult babysitters.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's so. This is the weekend that people tend to around this part of. I imagine most places in northern areas. This is when people traditionally put their gardens in. I'm not. I've got most of my gardens in. Everything except the heat-loving plants are in, for the most part.
Right.
I'm forgetting a couple things. And I really should be spending the weekend working on that, but I'm going fishing this weekend.
Can't blame you, man. Have at it. Have at
Taking
it.
a break from civilization and everything else. But I mean, really, where I live, this weird little microclimate where I live, it always pays to wait another week anyway. Every year when I do stuff, and this weekend is exceptionally hot. It's very, today was outrageous. It was like 27 degrees Celsius today. Really hot day.
Yeah.
And I planted some cucumbers this morning. But I mean, the last 3 years when I've planted cucumbers this time of year, they've rotted in the ground. So chances are they're going to do that anyway. That's why I stopped for 2 reasons. I thought, Greg, what are you doing? They're all going to rot because it's what always happens this time of year. You don't live. It's just you're not lucky like that. You're not where you live. It doesn't work. Also, the black flies were insane. They were destroying nothing. It was like something out of a Stephen King novel this morning. The black flies were just man, just crazy. I mean, it's been so cold lately, and trying to make up time, right?
Yeah.
Blood now.
Yeah.
Also had, as a result of the intense heat today, I may have had a garden disaster. So I think I spoke in a previous episode about how I was starting my peppers, eggplants, and tomatoes in my cold frames.
Yeah.
Glass.
Oh, no.
So I didn't even think about it this morning. I left and I had a bunch of things to do.
Oh, no.
I got back to the house around, 4 something. I was like, I should go have a look at the garden, see what's going on, see what's up. And I was like, I looked in the cold frame, and everything in there looked like it was dying. I might have killed everything. I don't know.
Well, it must have been like 80 degrees in there.
Yeah, I left the lids open
Celsius.
I probably have to leave them open. I'm going to be gone the whole weekend. It's not like my wife's going to be micromanaging it.
Right.
So just leave them open on the weekend, and who knows what's going to happen. And so a little bit frustrating, but for anyone that's new to gardening or is you just got to roll with stuff. Look, if they all die, I'll just go to the store and buy transplants. Who cares? I can't really get that into shape. Yes, I bought special species of eggplant. I bought a special variety of tomato, special kinds of peppers. Really excited about all of that. But if they're all dead, what I got to do? I can't go back in time. It's over. That's it. You blew it. Yeah. So just go and spend $10 on transplants and stick them in the ground and get over it and move on with your life. Right?
Yeah.
Every year I have some sort of catastrophe. I mean, literally 7 hours of inattention today. And I might have lost something I've been working towards for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes sometimes. That's life in the big city.
Yeah.
It's life in the big city. Big garden, baby. Just get over it and just roll with it. So what,
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know. We'll see. I'll know, when I gave everything a good water and took all the tops off, and it's going to be warm all weekend. There's not going to be there's no danger of frost overnight this weekend. So, I'll have a look at things on Sunday when I get back. And,
Cool.
Who knows? Well, I just thought I'd let people know that because, some people, and maybe it's just me when I see garden gurus on. I wouldn't call myself a guru, but
we think you are.
There's like what would you call that? The image or the sort of myth of perfection.
Yeah.
And that's just ridiculous. Things go wrong all the time, and there's just absolutely no point in sparing a second being worried about it.
Yeah.
just there's the world hasn't ended. There's stores and you can buy transplants and they're relatively cheap. So just do that. So what?
Yeah,
all right. So moving on. If I talk any longer, people are going to think I'm trying to convince myself.
I think you are.
No, I've been through this enough. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Maybe everything's just fine. Maybe they just got a little stressed and they're going to be fine. Oh, then one other thing. I've said in previous episodes that nothing eats garlic greens.
Yes.
And I've seen things take bites out of my garlic greens, but for more than a bite or two. Well, I was in my garden today. It's when I was out there watching all my transplants die. And there was a giant caterpillar. I'm talking like almost 3 inches long.
Wow.
One of my garlic, and it was eating it. like if you ate something that was horrible, you wouldn't you wouldn't eat for 5 minutes. You'd take one bite and say, "Oh my God, this is horrible."
That's true. That's true.
It just sat there and watched it chew for 5 minutes. So it's like, okay, this caterpillar isn't making a mistake.
No, it knows what it's doing.
Caterpillar likes his garlic. This must be like, a caterpillar from the Mediterranean or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. The caterpillar likes his garlic, so I killed him. But I
thought you were going to spare us the details.
Oh, he was destroyed.
Yes.
But killed him violently. But he's gone. But anyway, I guess there was and he really almost looked like a stick. He was very well camouflaged, but he was really enjoying that garlic. So I guess there are pests that like garlic, because I wouldn't have believed that if I hadn't have seen it. So hopefully I'll have to keep an eye open for those guys. He was really going to town. I mean, a caterpillar that size, it was like the size of, if you took a pencil and cut a 2 or 3 inch piece of that size, like the diameter of a pencil, right?
Yeah.
And about 3 inches long. Yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
So back to mulches. So the first thing I want to talk about is why they're important. As I've mentioned before, the reason I'm bringing this up is that I just keep seeing gardens with no mulch. I see vegetable gardens with no mulch, and I see flower gardens with no mulch. I mean, a flower garden, whatever. If your flowers aren't big, you're not denied food.
Right.
If you're trying to grow food, man, why wouldn't you do everything to make that easier and get a better yield?
Yeah.
I keep seeing vegetable gardens with no mulch. And so why do you use mulches in a vegetable garden, right? Keep your weeds down, and greatly improve water retention. The mulch breaks down and feeds the soil and feeds organisms in the soil, which is basically fertilization. And the mulch, by keeping the sun off the soil, keeping a stable temperature in the soil, because it's basically like a shield, and stabilizing the moisture levels in the soil, it makes that soil an ideal environment for the beneficial organisms in the soil that maintain and improve your soil for you. So all of those things are time savers, work savers, all that sort of stuff. Right? You don't have to water as much, you don't have to weed as much, you don't have to deal with fertilization, you don't have to till, blah, 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 blah. So there's literally no drawback to mulching your garden. It takes a small amount of time and huge benefits as a result of that. So totally worth your time. Different types of mulch out there, as we've mentioned before. Ramial wood chips, that's wood chips that are not the ones you buy in a bag from the garden center. Those are pretty much dead wood chips. Ramial wood chips are wood chips that are like branches and leaves that have gone through a wood chipper, the kind that an arborist or a tree service might generate when they're chipping up trees on the side of the road.
Right.
These wood chips, if they're in a pile, they get really hot. Yeah. And they've got a combination of carbon and nitrogen. They've got green. They've got the bark from the branches. They might have green needles in the branches. And I don't worry about if the branches are from a spruce tree or a deciduous tree. I find deciduous trees, non-evergreen trees, tend to break down faster. But the notion that using spruce trees or pine tree or evergreen boughs that have been chewed up, chipped up on your garden are going to raise the acidity of your soil or ruin your soil, whatever, that is completely bogus. If I had the time, I would love to show you some resources on that. There's been studies on that. The pine needles or spruce needles do have a degree of acidity, but by the time those needles break down and start incorporating themselves into your soil, the acidity is greatly decreased to an extent that it doesn't really affect your soil at all. Yeah. I built a garden downtown 3 years ago. Where I put horse manure down and I put wood chips on top, and the wood chips was full of spruce needles, full of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that garden, 2 years in a row, has had a fantastic. I've never done anything to that garden. Like, literally, didn't do anything to the soil. Didn't do anything. We put a little bit more mulch down last year. Didn't do anything to the soil. So it's just that the horse manure covered in pine needle wood chips, and it's teeming with growth. Right.
Wow.
Fantastic year last year in that garden with almost no maintenance. Literally, I went there like one day in May, put a bunch of seeds in the ground and a couple transplants, and I didn't do anything.
Cool.
And the owner just sort of showed up in August and started harvesting stuff and showed up intermittently, but no one's been watering it, no one's been doing anything to it. It turned out fine. So, yeah, the idea that pine needles, if you took all that and tilled it in, that probably would not be good.
No.
And they say that pine needles make soil acidic. No, pine trees and spruce trees grow in acidic soil.
Yeah.
They're not making the soil acidic. They don't mind acidic soil. So if you're getting soil out of a forest that's a pine forest or a spruce forest, that soil probably is acidic.
Yeah.
It's not because of the trees. Those trees are there because they don't have to compete with other trees.
Right.
They're there because they don't mind that soil.
Yeah.
Right. It would be like if you and I were trying to compete for land.
Right.
Right. And we both like land with waterfront property.
Mm-hmm.
But I really need it and you don't. Right. And let's say I've got a bigger stick than you.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I don't want to fight him because he's got a bigger stick.
Yeah.
And I don't need that waterfront as much as him anyway. So I'm just going to go over here where I don't have a waterfront. So most people might think, well, Dave's making all the water go away over there. Yeah. No, just doesn't mind, doesn't need it as much, doesn't care about it as much. So it's the same thing. Those trees are in acidic soil because they do fine in acidic soil. They don't mind if they're adapted to it.
Yeah.
So the soil isn't acidic because they made it acidic. It's acidic because they're just fine with it. So there's no other things to compete. There isn't a whole bunch of maple trees and birch trees and other things growing there, because those things can't grow there. Those things don't like that kind of soil. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I got off in a bit of a red there. So any kind of ramial wood chips you can get that have sort of green and brown in them, they're fine. Leaves are great if you're looking at leaves on the side of the road. People put them off in brown paper bags this time of year. Very handy. What was the point I wanted to make about leaves? The one thing I've noticed about leaves is that they can, more than any other kind of mulch, in my experience, they can harbor slugs more than anything else. But the strategy for that is if you're going to use leaves, and that's not always the case. When I lived in the valley, I never had any problems with leaves and slugs. It seems to be here I have a problem with leaves and slugs. The way I've worked around that is that, I use different kinds of mulches. I just use whatever I can get my hands on. So any bed that I'm growing things that are slug-proof, I use leaves. So if I'm growing tomatoes, if I have a tomato garden, slugs don't bother tomatoes. I've never seen that. So I put the leaves in those gardens. If I'm planting potatoes, I don't find that slugs really bother potatoes too much, so I use leaves there. Right? If I'm growing squash, really, baby squash, the young shoots of squash can be attacked by slugs. But once the slugs start getting that spot, or once the squash starts getting that squash stems, the whole plant has a spiny texture. Once it's once it's about 3 weeks old, it becomes spiny,
right?
And that's slug proof, right? So any sort of squash, pumpkin, zucchini, anything like that, cucumber, that whole family, they're all relatively slug proof. But if you're going to be planting greens, especially kale, anything like that, anything in that family, I would not use. You can. I never worried about it until I lived here where I am. But I have found that I don't tend to find that leaves are the best plan for that. You can use another one that works really well if everybody has difficulty sourcing these different things. There's not like a lot of resources for or places to go to get mulches, right? Mm-hmm. If you go to a resource supplier, like the kinds of places that supply gravel and soil and sand and stuff like that, they might have like one kind of mulch, right? Yeah. They've got that sort of like the black stuff, which is dyed black, and the red stuff, which is dyed red, and they've got the brown stuff, which is not dyed. Mm-hmm. But those wood chips don't tend to be ramial wood chips. They tend to be there's a lot more carbon in there than nitrogen. So, you want a mulch that is basically turning your garden into like a compost bin, right? You're putting a layer 2 or 3 inches of mulch on the top that's perpetually breaking down and it's feeding your soil. So you want to be putting good food on your soil. And I've tried it in other gardens. I don't find that stuff works as well as the kind of wood chips that arborists generate. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work as well as leaves. You just look at the state of the soil a year afterwards. If you're using leaves on your soil, the soil becomes black. I mean, and same with ramial wood chips. The soil becomes black underneath that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's just a sign of it really, really working. Another one, if you're having difficulty sourcing these things, but if you live near a forest, rotten logs. So like my house backs onto a forest, so I could go walk in the woods and I won't have to walk too far to find a dead tree that's fallen down. Mm-hmm. And some of those dead trees, I mean, all you got to do is bash it with an axe or a hammer or something like that, and it just smashes all up, right? Yeah. And you can fill a couple bags with that, no problem. And I mean, you want the logs that are really, really, really rotten, because those logs, dead wood, needs to absorb nitrogen to break down. That's why you never till it into your soil. But if you find a dead log that's sitting on the ground, it's probably been absorbing nitrogen from the ground for years. Mm-hmm. So it's a mulch and it's carbon, but it will have pulled nitrogen out of the air and out of the soil to break down already. Right. So it's a nitrogen source. Right? Yeah. And it's free if it's nearby. And any sort of mulch you're using, you should try to find stuff that's near you, easy to get, not too much work. Another one, speaking to that, is if you're near the ocean, seaweed's a great one. As far as I know, there's no law preventing you from going down and just grabbing some off the beach. I'm talking about dead seaweed, the stuff that just washes up on shore. Mm-hmm. You never know what you're going to find in there, so hopefully you don't find any fingers or anything. Yeah. Usually you find bits of plastic and stuff, but that can be a great one. And as I mentioned, I think last episode, the heat that can create in your soil is incredible. Mm. And I've read, I don't know about this, but I've read that slugs hate it. I know digging underneath my seaweed, so it's always neat to look at the layer where the mulch touches the soil. Mm-hmm. So moving that seaweed back, in my gardens, I'm seeing worms and a lot of salamanders, in fact. So they don't seem to mind it, but I've read that slugs hate it. I don't know. In my garden, it seems like everything slugs hate, slugs seem to love in my garden. But I haven't seen any slugs climbing around the seaweed, so we'll see. Yeah. And of course, hay and straw. And a lot of people talk about hay. Oh, the hay's got seeds. It's, don't use hay. It's full of seeds. If you take hay and you till it into your garden, you're going to get weeds like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. But if you just throw it on top, some of the seeds are going to shake loose and you're going to get a bit of grass or clover or whatever. But it's, I covered my entire strawberry beds with hay 2 years ago, and really there wasn't that much, coming out of that. Not that much at all. The kind of weeds coming out of my strawberry bed was no different than normal. Mm-hmm. Because you're just laying it on top, so most of the seeds aren't really in contact with the soil. Yeah. Right? They're just like baking in the sun sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So, hay is fine. Hay's a lot the reason I'm mentioning this is because hay is a lot cheaper than straw to buy. Sometimes people just throw it away if you're washing on the side of the road. This is one I haven't tried. I think I'm going to try this year just because I've got an ample source of it. And I'm just going to mention this in case, if you've got a large garden and you're willing to do experiments. If you've got a small garden, don't do experiments because you can ruin your whole garden.
Yeah.
If you get a large garden, I'm going to try this year, I think, on one of my beds using spruce boughs. The property near my house, it's got a lot of spruce trees I'm talking every tree is like 8 inches apart. So they need to be thinned down anyway. It's way too close for trees, and most of them are going to die anyway because they're too close.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd go in there and just thin them out and hack the branches off and just maybe run over the lawnmower a few times and just throw those right on there.
Yeah.
Just because I've got them, or even just lay them down as like small boughs because they're not going to blow away and they're going to do a fantastic job of keeping the sun off the soil. I might try that. I think just a suggestion. Again, it's all about using what's available and what's readily available for you. So why not try that if you've got the space to spare? If you don't mind, I'm going to try that in an area maybe 4 by 8. So in my if that garden fails, that's not a big deal.
True enough.
But I don't see why it won't work because I've used chipped up spruce branches.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. So I think just laying some spruce boughs down, it might be really easy. I mean, you can just lay them around the plants. I didn't think you have to go that thick. It should keep a good deal of the sun.
Yeah.
Another good tip, if you're putting your transplants in and you have a regular access to something like spruce boughs, on a really sunny day, you put your transplant in the ground and then just jam spruce boughs in the ground around the plant to keep the sun directly off it for a few days.
Yeah.
It'll help that plant adjust. It's better to put your transplants in on an overcast day or a day when there's going to be a few days of rain.
Yeah.
But let's just say the schedule is that, let's say tomorrow's the day you have to do it. Then, just put some, you can use anything, but I find that's what I've got a million spruce trees, so it's no big deal for me to just grab a couple branches and jam them in the ground.
Yeah.
It works just like an umbrella, right? It's like a sun umbrella. It's another source. I mean, there's other sources of mulch, I'm sure, but there's just some ones that I think people might find. I'm speaking to ones that are very easy for people to find and easy to source.
Right.
Another you can use is like spent grain from like breweries. But I've called just about every brewery in town, and they won't just give you one bucket of it. They basically say, well, we'll give you our spent grain, but you're going to take all of our grain forever. And I mean, they're talking like 45-gallon drums that weigh like 400 pounds.
Yeah, no.
Like, well, I'm not really into gardening on that scale.
No.
You know what they normally do with those? They feed them to pigs.
Do they?
Yeah, like after the grains.
Hey, why not?
After the grains have done their work and making delicious beer, they make delicious bacon.
Beer and bacon. There you go.
The deliciousness just does not end. Barley just gives and gives and gives.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Oh my.
So anyway, this is the reason this is all so important to permaculture design is that permaculture is all about designing a garden space that is not exhausting to maintain, right? That you're taking advantage of natural designs that exist in nature and putting them to work in your garden design so that you get a really good yield without a lot of work and without a lot of inputs.
Yeah.
And there's a wealth of literature on permaculture, and it can get very, very complicated if you get into it. Yeah. But the simplest way to start in your garden is just get a mulch down, because it does so many things, all the things I mentioned earlier: weed control, water retention, fertilization, making an ideal environment for your beneficials, and also, creating an environment for beneficial fungi like mycorrhiza.
Right.
All that stuff, that all starts with mulch.
Gotcha.
Right? So, if you're thinking of, maybe I'll give this permaculture thing a try, it's as simple as putting a mulch down this year. And I mean, you read about it next winter and change some other thing. There's all kinds of, we'll talk about a few other topics this year, but I don't want to exhaust people with it. But step one, get a mulch down. Right? Get a mulch down, and you will never go back to what you were doing before. you will not go back. You'll be like, why have I not been doing this before?
Yeah.
First year, I've never gone back. First year I did it. Everything's been great since then.
Wow, cool. Right on, right on. All right, so that concludes episode 37.
Who's our broadcast day?
Yes, we appreciate you listening. As always, you can subscribe on iTunes, check out our Facebook page, become a fan, take part in some of our ever popular contests, and check the show notes if you want at maritimegardening.com/037.